It is week one of the 2022 NFL season, and the Dallas Cowboys start things off on the right way at AT&T Stadium on Sunday Night Football, and hopefully they'll end it in the right way with a win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Welcome into Special Edition, everybody. Week one edition alongside Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans alongside these three former Cowboys. We're going to preview this matchup between the Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys, a matchup that last year was also on opening weekend in the NFL. Now Tampa Bay was raising a banner. Tom Brady was returning to Tampa Bay, and they ended up with a 31-29 win over the Dallas Cowboys. But Isaiah, how different are these two teams this year than they were last year?
I would say there's a lot of difference, and mainly from the standpoint of Tampa Bay. They're missing a lot of their premier players. You think about some of the guys that hurt you last year, Gronkowski, you got Antonio Brown, Ndamukong Suh. A lot of these guys are no longer there. So in terms of their personnel, I forgot. Their offensive line, Jensen's gone, Marbett's gone. So these guys are going to be hurting in terms of trying to fulfill those roles. And then for the Dallas Cowboys, there's no Amari Cooper, right? And then obviously you don't have any Tyron Smith. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how these teams respond.
Yeah, a lot of question marks on both sides of the ball for both teams out here. Offensively, we know what we got going on along that offensive line. Defensively, we brought back a lot of the same people, so I'm sure that they're going to improve from their 2021 season. And defensively for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got a lot of question marks. We'll see if we can take advantage of it.
The big difference last year was we had two premier quarterbacks, two premier offenses. That's what we were talking about. Going into the second time around, it's going to be all about the defenses and the run game. So those are the two big differences.
It's a little bit of first week jitters. It kind of feels like along the way for both squads, not just the Dallas Cowboys. But Mike McCarthy even said earlier this week that nervousness isn't necessarily a bad thing. Energy is a good thing. This is what he had to say.
No, I'll tell you what, I like being nervous because to me, I think you learn through time. There's a lot that comes out of that energy. I think when people are nervous, I don't look at nervous as being that's why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it. I don't think it's a negative. I think all energy. Jerry thinks all news is good news. I think all energy is good energy. So that's we kind of meet halfway there.
He's pretty spot on. Jerry does think all news is good news. Now, there's been plenty of news around the Dallas Cowboys. Luckily, none of it outside of Dak Prescott. The outside noise for Dak Prescott, no injury, no contract talks, no pandemic to deal with. He's getting back to football. Can he outduel Tom Brady in week one? He threw for 403 yards last year in this matchup.
He threw for 403 yards, but you bring up the term duel, and we don't want to see this turn into a duel simply because of the fact Tom Brady threw the ball 50 times last year, and Dak Prescott threw the ball 58 times. We know what the stats are when it comes to wins and losses whenever Dak has to throw the ball 40-plus times, and he threw it almost 60 last year. So I really hope that this doesn't turn into a duel, but should it turn into that? Absolutely.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I believe Dak Prescott can outduel Tom Brady, but in all honesty, I don't want him to outduel him. I want this offense to come out of the gate with a balanced attack, featuring Zeke, featuring Tony Pollard. Let this offensive line assert their will. Let them impose their dominance on that Tampa Bay defensive line, and I think it'll make things a lot easier for Dak Prescott, the passing attack, and our offense overall.
You guys have brought up two great points of being Dak, being able to throw, Tony Pollard, Zeke, being able to run. But I want Zach to be instinctual this year. I want him to be able to take off and get those short first downs, keep the ball moving, because that's how we can outduel these guys, by just keeping the ball, maintaining, running it, keeping the air out of it, and letting Dak be instinctual.
He owns the top two franchise marks in terms of passing yardage in season openers. And so Dak Prescott may have to do the same thing again this year. But you mentioned a little bit ago, Isaiah, that Ali Marpet, Kappa, Jensen, all gone. The interior starting offensive line from last year's game is gone for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Barry, does this give an opportunity for this Cowboys defense to get after Brady?
Without a doubt. I think they can get after Brady. And I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but they can definitely get after Brady because they're missing the most important part. You talked about it, Ryan Jensen. He's the guy that gets this offensive line moving in the right direction. He's the guy that helps set up the protection to keep TB12 upright. So I think with all the moving parts that go along with Dan Quinn's defense, I think they'll be able to confuse this Tampa Bay offense and pretty much make life hard for Tom Brady back there.
It's all about getting vertical on the interior line. You guys just mentioned the guys that are missing for them. Tom Brady hates interior pressure, so if you can get in front of him, you can disrupt him in that regard, you're going to make life really difficult for him.
And you would know because you played with Tom Brady as his backup in New England at one point in time. And hey, Tom Brady, he's been fantastic. 6-0 against the Dallas Cowboys. But when we come back here on Special Edition, can the Dallas Cowboys get win number 1 against TB12 when we come back?
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas. Reliant, an NRG company. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Salvation Army, Love Beyond.
You look up to that because we aspire to be that fierce or be that, that strong. You got to be a real strong-minded person to be you are. And for Tom to do that in New England, do it and in the Bucks, he inspires me, even though I'm on defense, When you throw the ball, you like, I'm like Tom. When you throw it like Mahomes, he's in that category. So you just see his competitive nature. Like he has that fire inside of him, and he looks to kill you. He wants to step on your throat like you're a roach.
Lots of respect from Micah Parsons to Tom Brady, and deservedly so, but also there's going to be some respect vice versa. And I think Tom Brady didn't really get a chance to see Micah Parsons in full Micah Parsons form in this matchup last year. He'll get a chance to see it in Week 1 here in 2022. But let's talk about that Tampa Bay offense and how this Cowboys defense is going to fare against them early on. Tom Brady, what can you say? 6-0 against the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, he's got the 7 rings. He's just arguably the greatest of all time, sometimes not arguably the greatest of all time. How is he different now, and how can the Cowboys slow him down?
He's different now simply because of the fact he hasn't relied more now on he's always relied on his preparation, right? But now he has to depend more on some of the other guys that are around him. And he's going to have to do so by effectively having a ground game. When you can force Tom Brady to throw the ball 50-plus times like you did last year, you put him in a position in which he might give you an opportunity to turn the ball over. And what happened last year? He had 4 touchdowns, yes, but he also had 2 interceptions. You had 0 sacks on him. So that's something that you have to change this year if you want to make sure that you walk away with a victory this time around.
Yeah, I believe, the difference between Tom Brady, in years past is he was able to elevate guys, undrafted free agents, whoever it was, he was able to elevate them to be having spectacular careers. Nowadays, he needs that help from the outside to be able to get him going in the direction he wants to go. And I think the key is, and you talked about it earlier in the first segment, I think the key to getting after Tom Brady is you have to get that middle pressure. You got to get him off his mark. If you're able to do that, you can have success defensively, and hopefully the Cowboys can bring that Sunday.
That's where Olsen and Bohannon and our starters have to do that. They have to be effective getting up in the middle. We have to contain him, but more importantly, man, erase the run game. Make him go back and throw it 50 times.
Well, how do they do that? They did it last year because Leonard Fournette only had 32 yards in this matchup. But how do they bottle him up and make sure that the ground game never gets off the ground?
I always believe this, fella. Score first. If you score first, then that gets you up, that gets your momentum going. And if you can get anywhere from 7 to 10 points ahead, he really has to throw it in. So we back into that mode. So you stop that run, you score first, and you score often.
Yeah, to me, it's going to have to come down to that interior defensive line. I'm talking about Bohanna, I'm talking about Neville Gallimore, Odigizua. Those guys are going to have to make sure that middle of the defense is taken care of. They cannot let that offensive line get to the second level to pick off those linebackers like Parsons and LVE. You got to let those guys be able to do sideline to sideline and chase the ball down. I think it's going to come down to that interior defensive line.
Now, kind of flipping the script on you a little bit here, when you look at the Tampa Bay defense, how can Dallas attack them? Are they going to attack them through the middle? Are they going to try and race them to the outside? How are they affected, at least from the Cowboys' offensive side of things?
I think the Cowboys are going to have to get the ball out of Dak Prescott's hands quick. We saw it a lot last year as far as bubble screens to Pollard, bubble screens to CeeDee Lamb. They're going to have to get the ball out of his hands quick because we know what Todd Bowles loves to do. He loves to dial up pressure. You got a young offensive line out there. These guys have got to get the ball out of their hands quick and lean on the run game as well.
Tampa Bay runs a 3-4 defense. One thing that's great about the 3-4 defense is you're able to cover sideline to sideline, especially with these fast linebackers that these guys have. One place that they're weak at on the 3-4 defense is in the middle. The guards are typically uncovered unless they go into a reduced set. So what you allow for is your all-pro guard, Zach Martin, to be able to get up to the linebackers where you have 315, 320 pounds on a 240-pound linebacker. They need to go downhill.
You got to find a way to go downhill, and it's not easy because Vita Vea is right there in the middle, right? How tough is he to get around?
He's a beast. I mean, he went to the University of Washington, so we know he's
okay.
However, he's one of the most dominant defensive linemen in the league on a serious tip, and that's somebody that you have to deal with. But guess what? When you have a 3-4 front, you have the guys up front to be able to do so.
If there was somebody from Toledo on the field, we'd be talking about him. We're going to talk about Marquise Bell at some point because he went to Florida A&M. It's going to happen. When we come back here on Special Edition, what are the expectations set by Stephen Jones and the Cowboys front office for this 2022 Dallas Cowboys season?
This segment was brought to you by Salvation Army. Love Beyond. This segment is brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas.
The expectations are so high for the Dallas Cowboys in 2022, but what does this front office really see as a successful season as we enter Week 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Our very own Nick Eatman took some time and sat down with Cowboys COO Stephen Jones.
Hey everyone, Nick Eatman here with Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer, and all year we talk about getting ready for the season, and guess what? It's finally here. I know you're excited about it.
I mean, I'm fired up, but I can tell you what, this whole organization's fired up. I know the players are ready to get out there and roll that ball out there and play for real. You know, they've obviously hadn't been, especially those top 15, 20 players, hadn't been playing much in the preseason. I know they're really ready for game action, and then, you know, the staff's ready to got a great game plan for Tampa. And you know, I think in general, it's time to play football, but it doesn't get any better than this. I mean, playing the Buccaneers and, of course, the best to ever play the game, probably the GOAT, and Tom Brady coming in our house. You better be prepared because, you know, he just keeps getting it done, and it'll be a big challenge for us.
You tired of seeing that goose egg there with Tom Brady? I mean, you have not beaten him yet, and he's been great. There's a lot of teams that haven't had success, but just – it would be super sweet probably to get a win here on opening night against him.
No question. I mean, that's you know, certainly, you know, he's who you calibrate yourself against. And I know Dak, what it would mean to Dak. I know what it would mean to our team. I know what it would mean to the organization to go out and get this win. But certainly Tom Brady's going to be prepared. You know, he's the best at getting prepared, and you know, to be the best, you got to beat the best. So you know, we need the challenge, and I think our guys are up to it. Certainly on a stage, you know, at AT&T Stadium on a Sunday night, it doesn't get any bigger than that.
You talk about the GOAT, Tom Brady, and obviously Micah Parsons. He said that Week 1 game it was his worst game of the season last year. And now his goal is to be the very best defensive player, or maybe best football player in the league. How excited are you of what he's going to do here in year 2 and how he can help you win?
Well, I take him at his word, and there's no question. I mean, when you play that first game as a rookie, it's probably going to be one of those games that you look back on and say, boy, I can play a lot better than that. But, you know, all he does is get better, and he's another one. Believe it or not, and you know, people remember what he did last year, but I think he's taken another big step in being a better football player. And I do know, you know, his competitive juices flow 110%, and he does want to be the very best football player in the NFL, not just the best defensive player. And you certainly saw that in training camp. You know, given not only our group fits on the offensive side of the ball, but when we had the joint practices. Against Denver, against the Chargers. You could see, and even some of the comments the head coaches made on the other team. He's certainly a guy, as we like to say, when the offense breaks the huddle, they're looking to see where number 11 is.
All right, Steven, we know how busy you are. Thank you so much for joining us here on DallasCowboys.com. So we'll see you at the game Sunday night.
Look forward to it,
Nick. You'll be there for this one?
I think I'll make this open.
All right, Stephen Jones, I'm Nick Eatman. We'll see you next time on DallasCowboys.com.
You can catch the entire interview with Stephen Jones on DallasCowboys.com. When we come back here on Special Edition, let's take a look at Dalton Schultz. Can he really be a difference maker for the Dallas Cowboys in this matchup against Tampa Bay?
This segment was brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas.
You gotta love the fresh smell of the regular season. It is back. Week 1 is here. Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton, Kyle Yeoman's back in studio here for Special Edition. Glad you're with us. Now, we've got some matchups to talk about, and these are starters versus starters. No more preseason along the way. We don't have to worry about the backups anymore. Who are you keeping an eye on to affect this game, win or loss for the Dallas Cowboys?
I'm going to go with Dak's security blanket. We're going to go straight to the tight end group in Dalton Schultz and Ferguson. Those two guys are going to have to be effective against the strongest portion of Tampa Bay's defense, and that's their linebacker core. You got Devin White. You have Shaq Barrett. Those guys are really good. They're downhill guys. They're fast. They can go sideline to sideline, and we're going to need to see Schultz show up more than what he did last year. He was 6 attempts, 6 receptions last year, but only for 45 yards and no touchdowns. We need to see him have a greater impact on this game, and that will be what helps Dallas be more successful.
How much does the young receiving core play into the fact that you need Dalton Schultz to step up as a receiving threat?
Huge, but also Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers understand that as well. So you can best believe these guys are going to be in his hip pocket like the lint in your old pair of sweats. So you want to make sure that he gets down the field. He only had a 7.5-yard reception average last year.
Yeah.
He needs greater than that in this game.
And he's got to be that security blanket for an offense that needs a security blanket, truth be told, especially when the front seven of Tampa Bay is as stout as they are. Now, Barry, you've always been a marquee matchup guy.
Always.
You always love the marquee matchup, especially in the secondary. Who you got your eyes on?
Once again, I have the marquee matchup. We got the arguably a top 10 wide receiver, deep threat extraordinaire in Mike Evans versus one of the best corners in the National Football League, especially when you talk about ball hockey, and that's Trayvon Diggs. Now, last year, Trayvon Diggs, he won the matchup. He locked Evans up, held him for 3 receptions for 24 yards total. This year, we know Mike Evans is going to look for some revenge come Sunday night. I can't wait to watch this marquee matchup out there. And Kyle, it's just going to be unbelievable on Sunday come prime time. These two guys going at it. It's a must-watch event.
Do you expect him to shadow Mike Evans? He was with them, I think, for all but 8 snaps of last year's game.
I would expect him to shadow Mike Evans out there, but with the training camp that Anthony Brown had out there, one of the best training camps as a defensive player this past year, they might let him get an opportunity at Mike Evans as well.
So you're saying there's flexibility in the secondary?
For the first time in a long time.
Oh, my goodness. How about that? You got to love it.
Wow.
Nate, you've also got a marquee matchup. What are you looking forward to?
Tyler Biadasz. We haven't talked about you a lot, but you're the key to this right here. If you're successful on Via Veda, you will make things happen because you will keep him out of the lap of the quarterback during pass situations. You will keep the line even and square during run situations. My boy Zaya say that the outside is the strength. I think the middle is the strength with Vita Vea. If we can just keep this guy from disrupting things, we have a great chance of winning this game.
You sound concerned. We had a lot of energy through Isaiah and through Barry, and then we get to Nate, and you just brought it down. Are you concerned?
I'm a little concerned because this dude just received a new contract of up $73 million. And for a big guy in the middle, that's a lot of steaks and honey buns that he's getting. So, but if we play well, and plus I wanted to make sure I start pronouncing people's names right. So I just wanted to make sure Tyler Biadasz.
Got it.
And Via Veda.
Yeah, you're flipping the T's. It's Vita Vea.
It's close.
You know what?
Don't let them see you on the street.
Big on big, it's going to be a grease fry regardless.
What was it? Honey buns? And what was the other thing?
Steaks, baby.
Steaks and honey buns. That's what Nate built his career on as a 6-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time Super Bowl champion here on Special Edition. When we come back, we not only gave our matchups, we give our keys for a Cowboys win. How do they start the 2022 season at 1-0?
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the final segment of Special Edition, which means it's time for keys to victory between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and your Dallas Cowboys. Isaiah, Barry, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, I'll take it. I'm going to keep it nice and short and sweet. Defensively, make Tampa Bay be one-dimensional out there. Offensively, take care of the football, get a balanced attack going out there. You should walk away with a W.
I'm going straight to offense. Okay. We got to have a ground game. Last year, Dallas Cowboys only had 60 yards on the ground. I need to see a hundo this year if you want to see a W.
Nate?
You know, and I'm going a totally different way. Cut down on the penalties and do not lead this the turnover battle. Be last in the turnover battle.
What's your prediction, Nate? Who you got in this?
It's by one. It's always going to be by one. If we're going 17-0, I need the Cowboys to start with a 1-point victory. You can laugh all you want.
The first 1-point victory of 2022. That's it for Special Edition. We'll see you next week.